Good evening, friends. Looks like the lighting isn't very good, and hopefully the volume is good. I'm just gonna check it. Yep, and it's been an interesting few weeks. So I haven't done as many videos. I've just done a few, couple, three healing videos that involved actually teaching as well as I did the videos. But I just came out of a practice group that I do these practice groups once or twice a week where we just practice listening to another and working with the energies between the typically three as their triads. And I had, and so when we have these practice groups, we don't speak about anything that the other person said within the group, but we can speak about our experience as part of the triad. So it's a larger group of people that the groups are broken down into groups of three, and then each person has a certain number of minutes, like 10 minutes, to kind of talk about a subject, but that they're working with, but download some information, and the other two people just listen. And then they reflect back, kind of, they don't give advice, they don't tell you how to heal yourself, your damaged self, they just tell you how the words affected them. And tonight's subject was about our pace, our rhythms in the world. And I have felt that I work with the World Healing Field. I've been doing that for 5.5 years now. And basically what it is I was asked to set up this field around the world so that people could tap into this field and have support, a feeling of support by all these beings supporting us as we change. And so I've been grounding the disturbed energies of the world ever since the end of January of 2020, which was when I was asked to set up this field. And it was quite challenging for those, first few years. And then it was less challenging until about 9 months ago, when all of a sudden it just got really challenging. And that was also the time I began studying with Thomas Hubel about how to work with big energies. So it was really good timing on both of our parts that he would be teaching me how to work with these bigger energies, towards the end of the period of time I was working with big energies. So the thing I'm going to talk about just briefly, and then I'll set up the healing field, and then just maybe talk about that while we're working with it. But the thing I want to talk about right now is how I was affected by, we are talking in the triad, we're talking about pacing, the energetic pacings we have. And my experience when another person was speaking their words was the pace was a very contemplative pace. It was almost like their words were almost like a meditation that as I was listening to the words and taking them in. And one of the ways that can be useful is when we take the words into our heart, as opposed to taking their words into our heads and making something up about the words. There's a process where we can take the words spoken by someone else and take them in to our heart. And the heart tends to transform or transmute the energies that come to us. They're transmuted through the heart because the heart basically holds this vibration of love. It holds traumas as well, and those sometimes need to be dealt with, but those traumas aren't necessarily affecting the energies that the person's sharing. They just travel through the heart. They just go through the car wash in a way. The heart's like the transformer of the field. And so as those energies go through the heart, there's things shift. And I had that experience. I had that experience the whole period of time that whether I was speaking or I was listening, there was just this amazing coherence of this group of three people where I do energetic healing work over the phone with people around the world, and I could just feel this coherence and how it was just changing everything. And that was just my experience, and I can speak about my experience according to my agreement within the group. I can speak, within the Thomas Hubel group, I can talk about my experience, but just not talk about what someone else said, because why would we do that? Okay. So we're just going to go through and get ready for this healing field that we're going to work with. The field is up, so we just state out loud, I connect my deep self. Connect my higher self. Connect my highest self. I ground myself to the healing center of the earth. I open myself to the healing power of the One. I let go of anything not useful to me now. And I choose to work with the Hathors. I ask the higher self to take us through the portal of time to the event that would be of the highest good to release and integrate at this time. And I invite all souls to return to that event that were affected by the event, to release and integrate the energy of the event for themselves. And I ask that we all be placed in a field of protection while we do this work. Upon arrival at the event, I ask the higher self to assist us to release and integrate all energies of the event, gently and easily, fully and completely, on all levels and through all space and time. Sometimes, all the time. So we're back at an event, and I'll go over a little bit of what I'm noticing in my body, in my emotions, in my mental thoughts, if any. But I'm going to talk about the past 3 weeks, which for me have been really challenging. And the world energies, I thought the world's energies got pretty crazy in the beginning of 2020. And I found those energies challenging. And then, I got better at working with them. But I went through another training program over the last 9 months, to work even more, work with even more energy. And I would say I wasn't feeling like I was working with too little. It's just that I was required to step it up. And I wasn't required. I was asked. It's kind of a requirement when your teachers are your invisible teachers, the teachers in your head are asking you to step it up again, telling you that you can and that you're ready, and would you step it up? So I found the last 9 months really challenging, and I felt like that challenge kind of peaked over the last 3 weeks, where I was just working with so much fear in the world field, and it's understandable. I mean, so many things are changing right now. The reality that we, had agreed to, the thought form of the world reality that some of us kind of participated in somewhat, but it felt, it felt like, even though it was a real crazy reality for the past 6 years or 5 years, whatever, 6 years, it felt like kind of the same reality. But now, with this healing process, it feels like everything's changing and we have no idea where we're going, but we do have an idea of what we need to let go of. And the big three, emotionally speaking, most traumas are overwhelming events that we do not have the capacity to deal with at the time. And sometimes those events could be a birth trauma. And, in my case here, I am 74 years old. So working with this energy for 74 years. And sometimes it can be from other lifetimes. Or it can be ancestral trauma that were passed on to us through our genetic coding. Wherever it comes from. When it shows up, what's best for us to do is to meet it in the most mature way possible. So the most mature way, I mean, there may be even more mature ways possible, but one way is there's aspects of ourselves. So we can experience the world. This is from neuro-linguistic programming. And I don't like the word programming, but we are all kind of programmed anyway, so I can let go of my not liking the word programming. But we experience the world according to NLP. We experience the world in one of three ways. We experience it as self, which is experiencing the world as we're having the experience. We're feeling the feelings, we're thinking the thoughts, we're noticing what's happening in our physical body. So that's self. And then there's another way where we can attune to another person, and when they're sharing information of how things are with them, we can attune ourselves to that, and that's experiencing other. So there's the experience of self, there's the experience of other. I mean, you're experiencing it within yourself, but you're experiencing other. And then there's the experience of observer. Now, the observer, according to NLP and from my experience, a clean observer only experiences two things while they're observing. They experience compassion, and the observer experiences curiosity. So the curiosity has to do with how this person is creating this reality that they're telling you about, or how you're creating this reality that you're telling yourself about. So in a traumatic event, when we get triggered, that part of us, whatever age that part of us, there's a tendency to go into that age oh, you're doing this to me. Oh, this, we're triggered by the unresolved energies we've had from our parents never listening to us, or our parents um, hitting us if we misbehave, or our parents, it wasn't always our parents. It could have been our older brothers that were just beating the crap out, or whatever, sisters, brothers, aunts, uncles, neighborhood bullies, whatever the trauma was. If we've not gotten rid of it, then a triggering event happens where someone looks us in the wrong way and we're like, oh, I'm in so much pain now. Well, there's that, which is the experience of the self that hasn't resolved that pain. And while you're experiencing that pain as that self, you can also step outside of that self and be in your mature self and be present for that self that experienced the trauma with compassion and curiosity. And now you're not in that traumatic experience. You're observing that traumatic experience. And as a mature, observing self, you can witness or presence that part of you that was holding the trauma for however long. If it occurred when the part of you was 3 and you're 74, well, then that was 71 years ago that this part has held that. I'm just using that as an example, but oftentimes these traumas were young child, but before 7, a lot of them. And so you're just presencing, you're just witnessing, you're just observing with compassion and curiosity these energies that got stuck from this event. And you are energetically holding a space for that part of you to release the energy of that trauma. That's why, in the beginning of doing a healing event, we connect to our deep self, our higher self, our highest self. Then we ground ourselves into the healing center of the earth. And what that does is it allows the earth to receive those energies we're releasing and then bring them back clarified. So the earth is acting as a big transformative heart. So when we ground ourselves to the healing center of the earth, we're grounding ourselves in some ways, metaphorically and maybe actually, to the heart of the earth, which is love. And so these energies that we release into the earth from our traumas are transmuted and brought back to us as clear energy. So I was going to talk about the event, but in the course of what I did talk about, we all cleared the event that we went back to. And that was very fast. And you can't really stop these things. You can't make them go a particular speed. I'm going to put it on cruise control and make releasing this traumatic event from another time go at 65 miles an hour or take an hour or whatever, we can attempt to control that. But if we really just let life do its thing, sometimes it can happen much more quickly, as it did in this case. So those are enough words, I think, for now. And those were 19 minutes of words. So I'll do the last closing portion of this. I ask the higher self and our soul group to assist all the souls that return to the event to combine with that part of their souls that had remained at the event and bring that combined soul back into the body in present time with all of its wisdom, power, and clarity, its compassion, curiosity, and kindness. And with joy and love, I ask all souls to ground themselves into the healing center of the earth and open up the portal for the delivery of the new energies into the earth at this time. And I ask that these new energies be brought into the earth now, the healing center of the earth, but these new energies don't need to be transmuted. You can feel them as they're going in. They're like, oh, these are really transmuted already. And we ask that they be activated. And we let the universe and beyond know that this has been done and that is good. So that's the video at this time. And may it serve you right and may it serve you well. And I'm Steve, and now must go.